What's up, dudes? I'm just doing my hair. I was using my phone as a mirror, and it just started recording all on its own. So I'm waiting for my coffee to come through. Let's just see what messages Spirit has to say. So Spirit says, let's talk about the art movement. What exactly is the art movement? It started so long ago that I don't even remember how long ago it was. So here in the Twin Cities, we have, in Minneapolis, we have a big art thing called Art World. And it happens every year. And all artists, kind of in this certain kind of art district, open up their studios. And there's these big buildings that rent out studio space to individual artists. And they open up their studios, and it's a big deal. And you can walk around and you're invited into different artists' studios, their spaces. You can buy their art. You can check out what they do. It's very supported here in the Twin Cities. A lot of people go to Art World. So it was so long ago, right when I just got a cell phone. So that's how long ago I'm talking. And there was an art installation there, and it was anonymous. It was very kind of Banksy-esque. And it just had a little table with a tablecloth on it. That's what I remember. Like those little golf pencils, like those little pencils. Strips of paper, a fishbowl. Well, it wasn't a fishbowl. A fishbowl might mean something. It was like a plexiglass plastic box that was on this little podium, or like this stand thing, like a pillar right next to it. And the box only had a few slips of paper in it. And on the table was a frame, and it had the art movement on. It said, the art movement. Do you believe? And it explained what it was. And it said something along the lines of, do you believe I'm psychic? Do you believe all I need is your permission to check up on you psychically? And it says something like, this person is a psychic. All they need is the person's permission. And with their permission, you are giving that person who is anonymous, who remains anonymous, permission to check up on you. Psychically, spiritually, and physically. If they hear your soul scream out, I need help, they will check up on you. Through whatever means are available to them, with whatever technology is available to them. Me, I was like, fuck yeah, this is right up my alley. So what you had to do was write your phone number down on one of those slips of paper and put it in the little box. So the end part of it was something like, if this person decides to check up on you, if everything in their soul feels you calling out to them, They will check up on you. Please hold. My coffee is done. So if they've decided to check up on you, they will use whatever means are available in modern technology. And it was unstated, unsaid, but it was pretty clear, whatever means necessary. Now, if this person deemed, after checking up on you anonymously, that you needed help, they would contact a third person. See, the artist person always stays anonymous. For the art movement to totally work requires 3 people. So the person who leaves their phone number, the artist, and then the third person. So if the artist decides, the psychic, the person says, oh my gosh, this person needs some kind of help. This person is a member of my soul family, my soul tribe. They need some kind of help. I'm going to identify another person that's a member of this soul family or soul tribe. And the artist will contact the third person anonymously and say, knock, knock, want to play? We have somebody that needs help. And then that person will explain what the art movement is, that they've identified that this first person needs help. And for the whole art movement to work, the middle person, the artist, has to activate the empathy in the third person for somebody they don't even know. Or maybe they do know them. And then the third person will come to the first person and say the secret phrase, which in the end means, I am here and do you need help? What's the secret phrase? Are you ready? Banana split with a cherry on top. Banana split with a cherry on top. And if a random third person comes to the first person and says, banana split with a cherry on top, then the first person understands. That's a member of your soul family that got contacted by this artist and said, will you please check up on this lovely human being? My soul can hear their soul screaming out. But it takes 3 people being in the present moment and listening to their intuition for this whole thing to work. That's how it got started. All right. Well, I'm ready. My hair's done. Coffee's drinking. I'm going to start my day. Of course I'll show you. Do you want to see what I did with my leftover scraps of fabric from the capes? Little scraps of fabric that's not good for anything. Little bits of the edging of fabric when I make my capes. Ready for the garbage. One thing I can do with them before they go to the garbage. Remember all those spools of thread I got? Or spools of ribbon? Okay, thread might mean something. All those spools of ribbon that I got in the bins at Goodwill. All the yarn I got, all of that. I took all the leftover scraps and made garlands with them, party garlands. And so these are 8-foot long garlands, wrapped up. You can put them in like the doorway of a place for a party. And they look really cool hanging up. So one last thing before destined for the landfill, turn it into something pretty. That's part of my mission. It's what I like to do as an artist, is use things that are forgotten about, have been deemed no longer worthy for anything. And so what you do, this is 8 feet of ribbon. And what you do is you undo this, and then these just slide. You can spread them out along the ribbon, and then you hang it for a party. And when the wind blows outside, all these ribbons blow. So this is kind of old school party decorations. I had gotten this giant ball of this really interesting, the giant ball is like this big, of this really interesting yarn. So I doubled up on the yarn. And you guys, when they're outside, I make these outside, right by my deck. I tie one piece to one side of the deck and then to another side, and then I add the tassels to it. And when the wind is blowing, they look so cool. So, one last thing before it goes in the garbage. Party! So just remember, if you use your imagination, if you can't afford expensive art supplies, if you can't afford going into a fancy material store, if you can't afford ordering brand new components, anything like that, if you use your imagination, there's all sorts of supplies right at your fingertips. I found all my supplies lately at the bins at Goodwill. And what the bins at Goodwill is it's like the last ditch effort before stuff is destined for a landfill. And they just throw everything into the bins. You pay by the pound. And you just have to I wear gloves. My daughter and I wear gloves. And we love it. It's fun. It's a treasure hunt. You gotta sift through a bunch of bullshit, but there's all sorts of good stuff. And I have stocked my entire studio using the quote-unquote garbage from Goodwill. So you want to see what I got? Now this, I'm all stocked up for the winter. I got all of this material there. All of this material. I got all of this material. I got all of this lace, all of this trim, all of everything here. Sewing notions, more lace, all of that. More material. I got all of this. All this leather, all of this, Here's my drawer of scraps that I will eventually be turning into those garlands. I got all of this ribbon. I got this entire tub full of yarns, high-end yarns. So right now the lighting isn't too great. I'm in my son's old room, which I've set up. It's kind of like a big closet now. And here's what I've done. 1, 2, 3, rain slicker, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 'Rain slicker, 13. And I'm just finishing up the 14th one. Want to see? It's almost done. Okay, here's what I'm working on, the 14th one. So there it is. It's this cool kind of patchwork fabric that's a flannel. And then on the inside, it has this soft fleece liner, super cozy. And here's the collar. I just need to add the collar to it, and it's done. Now I did all of these from garbage. Just think about that. Look how cool they turned out. I just used my imagination, and now I have a whole rack full of product for sale just by using my imagination and resources that were available to me.